All right, so you're thinking about leaving New York City for Connecticut. Before you make that big move, there's a few things that you should know. Today, I'm going to share with you the 10 things you're probably going to miss most about New York City. But don't worry, I'll show you exactly how Connecticut has its own unique perks that might just make up for what you're giving up. And trust me, some of these might surprise you, so stick around. And at the end, I'll reveal that one thing that I did not expect to miss about New York City, even though Connecticut will cover it all. Number one, 24/7 convenience. Let's start with one of the biggest perks of New York City, 24-hour convenience. Living in Upper West Side, I had a CVS right down the block, and I'll literally be able to grab anything, groceries, medicine, snacks, drinks at 3 a.m. in the morning without any problem. Sometimes I'll even go in my PJs. In Connecticut, that's not happening. Here, most places shut down by 10 p.m., including pharmacies. It's definitely an adjustment when you're used to the city that never sleeps. But here's the trade-off. In Connecticut, you have a slower pace of life that makes you think twice before running out for a midnight snack. You start planning things a little bit more. In a way, it adds structure and peace to your lifestyle. The lack of 24-hour options isn't ideal, but you start to enjoy the calm after hours here. And if you're an early riser, you'll find that Connecticut definitely has a rhythm that caters to morning people. Number two, transportation options. All right, so in New York City has one of the best transportation systems literally in the world. The subways, buses, ferries, it's all there. I'll hop on a subway and get anywhere I need it, quick and efficient and very cheap. But here's the thing, back then I was just carrying my wallet, my phone, and maybe a jacket. Now with a toddler, things just look a little different. I can't even imagine trying to lug a stroller, a diaper bag, and a toddler onto the subway. It'll be a complete nightmare. And on top of that, safety is a big one for me in New York City. You're cramped in the subway car with everyone, and let's be real, sometimes you end up next to people you'd rather not be near. In Connecticut, it's like a breath of fresh air in that regard. And I love knowing that we're driving in our own car, in our own space. And the biggest convenience is parking. I'm no longer stuck in traffic trying to run an errand or hunt for a parking spot, trying to fight somebody for a parking spot. Really, that's what it is. I get to drive, park right next to the entrance, right next to the door, and walk into my favorite local shops without any stress and actually enjoy that experience with my family. Number three, walkability and neighborhood vibes. Walkability was a big change for me. In New York City, walking everywhere was literally second nature. I'll walk for days. I'll take a stroll to get coffee, the corner deli, or just explore different city vibes. Now, as a family man, my needs really shifted. In Connecticut, I can still choose to take a stroll, but in a quiet, scenic area, perfect for a relaxing family walk, and definitely not weaving through New York City crowds. There's something beautiful about hopping in the car, knowing exactly where I want to go, and getting to my favorite spot without the hassle. And while New York City has endless vibes, each town in Connecticut has its own distinct character, from New England colonial charm to modern family-friendly places. It's like discovering new little worlds with each town that you visit. You won't get the same bustling vibe as New York, but the landscapes, cleaner streets, and family-friendly atmosphere make up for it. Number four, endless restaurant variety. Let's talk about food because I love food. I love New York City's restaurant scenes all throughout the place, all the different boroughs. And I still drive back to the city occasionally to enjoy some of my top restaurants there. There's just something about New York City food that's just hard to beat. But let me tell you, Connecticut has its own gems. I've been exploring and found some phenomenal places here. Just last month, I drove to Hartford for an incredible sushi tasting menu at Fang Chop House. I'm telling you, this place rivals some of the best that I've tried in New York City. The thing about Connecticut's dining scene is that while you don't have the endless variety, the quality is top notch. You get these hidden gems that focus on fresh, local ingredients, and the best part, no reservation wait lists, a mile-long or packed restaurants. You'll definitely miss the variety, but the quality and charm make dining here an adventure. Number five, New York City's buzzing energy. Now, New York City's energy is just one thing that's completely hard to beat. The sounds, the lights, the constant hustle, it's addictive. Connecticut has a much quieter vibe and life moves at a slower pace. This can be great, especially for raising a family, but if you're someone who feeds off that high energy lifestyle, it's really a big adjustment. But But you know what? Connecticut has its own energy, especially if you're into the outdoors. Instead of skyscrapers and sirens, you get the energy of nature. And there are tons of outdoor activities, including hiking, boating, fishing, you name it, you'll find it here. Plus, there's so many like-minded people here for business and networking. You give up that buzzing energy, but you gain a community vibe, a more balanced lifestyle, and a chance to recharge. Number 6, access to world-class culture and events. New York is all about the iconic events, the marathon, the New York City Marathon, Halloween parade, Broadway shows, and museums. In Connecticut, you're not going to find that level of world-class events right outside your door, but let me tell you, I had one of the most memorable Halloweens of my life in Newtown, Connecticut this year. Just walking through that town felt like a scene from a movie, straight from a movie. Historic colonial homes lined up, Halloween decorations, kids trick-or-treating down up and down the Main Street. It was just something incredibly special, and I'm glad I got to experience that firsthand. Connecticut's events are more about community. You get local fairs, seasonal festivals, and smaller shows. And hey, New York City is just one train ride away if you're craving a Broadway night. Connecticut gives you a small town charm and a closer, more personal experience with the community. Number 7, density and local stores and businesses. One thing that I loved about New York City was the density of small local businesses. I had my favorite bodega, deli, and coffee spots all packed in a few blocks. Connecticut doesn't give you that density, but what it does have is space, big space, stress-free parking, easy access, and let's face it, no elbowing your way through crowded aisles. But it's not all about chain stores. You'll find unique shops, farmer markets, and local businesses with the same quality and care. It's a different shopping experience, but once you settle into a slower pace, you'll appreciate having room to breathe while shopping. Plus, you can still find some amazing hidden gems if you know where to look. Number 8, New York City's iconic skyline and views. While New York City's skyline is just something that I'm going to always miss and adore, the views of the Empire State Building, the endless skyscrapers, and that cityscape are just iconic. In Connecticut, you're trading the city views for natural beauty. Think open fields, lakes, historic town greens, and charming coastal towns. It's a different kind of beauty, but when I'm out in Candlewood Lake, I sometimes just can't believe how serene it is. And if you're into nature, Connecticut has its own views that are just equally awe-inspiring, just in a different way. And let's face it, nothing beats the feeling of watching the sunset over a peaceful lake. Number 9, entertainment variety. In New York City, you're never gonna have a loss for things to do. Clubs, comedy shows, late night lounges, and more are just a walk away. In Connecticut's nightlife is just a little quieter. Let's be honest. You'll find restaurants, a few bars, and theaters, but the scene here is way more low key. The upside, in Connecticut, you start to embrace the outdoors more, hiking, kayaking, fishing, camping, and they become your go-to activities. The weekends are more about exploring nature or taking a peaceful stroll rather than rushing to keep up with the city's nightlife. You might miss the variety, but you gain a slower, more relaxing way to spend your time. Number 10, last but not least, New York City's cultural diversity. Finally, there's New York City's diversity, which is unmatched. You're constantly surrounded by people from all walks of life, speaking different languages, sharing different cultures. Connecticut has a different kind of diversity. It's more subtle, but some people here are incredibly welcoming, and it's very close-knit communities. It's not the same as New York City's melting pot, but each neighborhood has its own charm. There are strong community bonds and supportive networks. You might miss the vibrant cultural scene of New York City, but Connecticut has its own warmth, community, and community spirit, and it makes you feel just at its home. So these are the 10 things that you're most likely going to miss about New York City if you plan to move to Connecticut. But here's the thing, each one of them come with it's with a unique Connecticut twist, so you're not really losing out, you're just trading one amazing lifestyle for another. And here's the one thing I didn't expect to miss, and that's the instant convenience. Even though Connecticut has an incredible quality of life, there's just something about knowing you can get anything you want at any time in New York City. But now I've learned to appreciate the quieter moments and the balance that Connecticut does bring. So if you're thinking about making a move, and I'd love to help you find the perfect town for you, don't forget to subscribe, and comment below if you have any questions. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.